Welcome in, Broncos country, to our 8th game preview video for the 2025 season, as your Denver Broncos, currently sitting at 5-2, are set to take on the Dallas Cowboys, sitting at 3-1. The Broncos are riding a 4-game win streak, but only one of those wins was a comfortable one. That was the Monday Night Football game against the Jake Browning Bengals. In their other 3 wins, they've required fourth quarter comebacks, including that Giants game. That was a miracle fourth quarter comeback that really was more on the part of Giants errors than these amazing plays by the Broncos. Yes, Denver made some plays, but if they were going against a more experienced football team or a more experienced quarterback, quite frankly, Denver probably would have lost last week. They've got to play a more sustainable brand of football. They've got to play a winning brand of football for all 4 quarters, and thus far, they've only done that in 1 game, and that was against a really bad football team. Even though this Dallas Cowboys team has been inconsistent, they certainly aren't a bad team. Dak Prescott and this offense, they've been playing awesome. Same can be said for former Bronco Javonte Williams. He's having the best season of his career so far. His legs look back. I'm so happy for Pookie. Obviously, I don't want him to have success this week, but I wish him nothing but the best in Dallas. I hope that he goes for over 1,000 yards. But on the other side of the ball, this Dallas Cowboys defense is really struggling. Matt Eberflus, their defensive coordinator, is already under fire, but they have very limited personnel on that side of the ball due to injuries and just an overall deficiency of talent. Eberflus is basically trying to make chicken salad out of chicken feathers. Who would have thought that trading away your best defensive player would net you negative results on that side of the ball? But I digress. On this show, we go over things from the opponent's perspective, assess their strengths, assess their weaknesses, determine how the Broncos can attack some of these weaknesses, and how they could go about attacking the Denver Broncos and some of the weaknesses that Denver has. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. We're going to start off talking about this coaching staff a little bit more, and then we'll get in depth with the player personnel. Their head coach is Brian Schottenheimer, son of Marty. Brian has carved out a really nice career for himself at the NFL level. He was the offensive coordinator in Seattle during Let Russ Cook days. I believe he was OC at one point under his dad in San Diego. He was with the Jets. He was with the Jaguars. These past several years, he's been with Dallas as their OC, but this is his first opportunity as head coach to call plays because Mike McCarthy was the play caller previously. For Brian Schottenheimer, you can see some of his dad's influence in his play calling. He wants to run the football. Everybody knows about Marty Ball back in the day. Run the ball, play good defense. I'd say Dallas has half of that equation so far. They're running the ball well, but they're not exactly playing good defense. One reason why they're running the ball so well is because Schotty was able to recruit Clayton Adams from the Arizona Cardinals. Adams is from a West Coast background. You see some West Coast run concepts, but you also see a lot of power downhill concepts, a lot of gap, a lot of man, stuff like that. You'll see some trap. So it's a very diverse run game. You also see a lot of diversity in their passing game. They'll get under center and they'll operate off the play action with their run game, but they'll also spread it out, get in the shotgun, have all 5 of their eligibles out in the pattern. So they do a good job offensively of mixing up their scheme. Matt Eberflus, their defensive coordinator, he runs a 4-3 over base defense, but he doesn't trust his guys to run a lot of man coverage. He's ticked up his man a little bit over these past couple of weeks, but at the beginning of the year, it was kind of a meme. The Cowboys ran 0 plays of man coverage for the first 4 weeks of the season. He likes to live in cover 3. He likes to live in cover 2. Sometimes he'll drop back and play quarter, half. That's a hybrid coverage of cover 4 and cover 2. But he wants to live in zone. He'll play a little bit more man. He's done that over these last few weeks. But Matt Eberflus very much wants to live in zone. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into this player personnel here for the Dallas Cowboys. Bring in my favorite website, Lads, and we're going to start off with Dak Prescott, who is playing some incredible football. He already had high-level chemistry with CeeDee Lamb. Now he's got another weapon in George Pickens, and that chemistry has been built rather quickly. Dak Prescott, he's been threading the ball into tight windows. He's been extending plays with his legs. Prescott has been playing really high-level football. 185 for 259 through the air. That's a 71.4% completion. 1,881 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. His expected points added per play is 6th best in the NFL out of 34 eligible quarterbacks who've played at least 100 snaps. His success rate both in the passing game and the QB run game, which I will admit, he doesn't do much in terms of actually gaining yards on the ground. He tries to extend plays outside the pocket whenever he's looking to throw more so. But his success rate is 46.5%, which is 16th out of those 34 eligible quarterbacks. His completion percentage over expected, which is how many passes are you completing relative to the average quarterback in the NFL, that's 7th best. He's got 17 big-time throws and just 5 turnover-worthy plays. He's not throwing the ball downfield a ton. That's evident on film, and that's evident by his average depth of target, which is 25th at 7.6 yards per pass. His adjusted completion percentage is really good, 80.7, which is 3rd best in the NFL. Like I said, he's not really gaining a lot of yards on the ground. He's not really been a rushing threat ever since he suffered that leg injury, but he can extend plays outside the pocket. 19 carries, 56 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown. A 90.6 PFF passing grade, which is 3rd best in the NFL. And I know PFF grades aren't everybody's cup of tea, but if it's really high or really low, that's a pretty good indication on how the player's playing. And the film matches up, and the rest of the numbers match up with this PFF grade. Dak is playing at a highly efficient level right now. When he's kept clean, he's 136 for 181 passing for 1,234 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's kind of funny. 15 touchdowns and 1 interception. 8 big-time throws, 2 turnover-worthy plays. When he's under pressure, he's still playing at a pretty efficient level. 49 of 78 for 647 yards. Just 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, but when you look beyond the raw stats, 9 big-time throws, and just 3 turnover-worthy plays. So he's not making a ton of mistakes under pressure. That said, we're going to talk about it a little bit later. His offensive line does give up quite a bit of pressure, especially from the tackle positions, and that's something Denver's going to look to exploit. When he's not blitzed, he's 131 for 183 for 1,330 yards, 13 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, 13 big-time throws, and 4 turnover-worthy plays. When he is blitzed, he's 54 for 76, 551 yards, 3 TD, 1 INT, 4 big-time throw, 1 turnover-worthy play. So, overall, Dak Prescott is very efficient, both when he's under pressure and when he's kept clean, when he's blitzed, when he's not blitzed. So, you kind of have to pick your poison a little bit in terms of choosing how to defend Dak. Do you blitz him? Because if you do, he's probably going to throw hot. He knows how to beat the blitz with his arm. If you don't blitz and drop back into coverage, then you're just risking him having too much time, and he can pick you apart through the air that way. So you have to decide what your game plan is in order to beat Dak Prescott, and pretty much either way, he's going to make you wrong. Dak Prescott is playing like a top 5 quarterback right now. It might even be higher than that. He should be in the MVP conversation, and I don't know what the national media is saying right now in terms of MVPs. I haven't really looked at that too much, but Dak Prescott, in my opinion, should be in the MVP conversation. Now, a guy who should be in the comeback player of the year conversation is Javonte Williams. There were several things holding Javonte back here in Denver. Scheme. I don't think Javonte fit this run scheme very well. I think he belongs more in a gap scheme, which is what Dallas runs at a pretty high level. I think that's one reason why Javonte looks better. Another reason why he looks better is his legs, with one more year removed from that injury, he looks more explosive. That burst is back. Additionally, he's going up against a lot more light fronts in Dallas than he did in Denver. He's got a lot more light boxes, which makes it a lot easier to run the football. So there's many reasons why Javonte Williams is excelling in Dallas right now. I still believe it was the right decision to move on from Javonte because it was kind of a gamble if Javonte was ever going to return to this form. And Denver's run game is operating at a high level right now with J.K. Dobbins. But regardless, I'm happy for Javonte, and I wish him success, just not in this game. He has been very successful. 111 attempts, 592 yards, 5.33 yards per carry. He wasn't even cracking 3 yards per carry in his last couple of seasons in Denver. 6 rushing touchdowns. He's still not an elite threat on the through the air, I should say. 23 receptions for 85 yards and 1 touchdown. Really good pass blocker. He always has been. He's the 8th best pass blocker according to PFF with a 70.0 pass blocking grade. They've got Jaden Blue, who they also mix in at running back. He's the only other running back on the active roster right now. They put Miles Sanders on IR recently. Blue has 14 carries for 36 yards. He's also got 1 reception for 5 yards. Solid pass blocker as well, but they're kind of waiting for Blue to break out. It's been the Javonte show at running back. They've also got Malik Davis, who they've promoted from the practice squad. Davis has played well for the Cowboys in spurts, but he hasn't recorded any offensive stats this year, so we will find out if Malik Davis is going to play more of a role. But as of right now, Dallas doesn't have a true receiving threat out of the backfield, so that is one area that is handicapping their offense, in my opinion. Tight ends, Jake Ferguson has established himself as one of the better tight ends in the NFL. He's already got 51 catches for 334 yards and 6 touchdowns this year. He plays both inline and slot, 160 inline snaps and 140 slot snaps. Not the best blocking tight end on the planet. 54th graded pass blocking tight end, and the 82nd graded run blocking tight end in the NFL. So that's not really his specialty, but they've got 2 other good blocking tight ends in Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spanford. Schoonmaker has gotten some plays on offense, 5 receptions for 24 yards, no touchdowns. He's a true inline tight end. Brevin Spanford out of Minnesota. He's been in the NFL a couple of years now. 2 receptions for 5 yards. The best graded run blocking tight end in the NFL. First out of 87 eligible tight ends. So they do have a couple of good blocking guys in Spanford and Luke Schoonmaker. Let's go ahead and talk about these wide receivers now. And CeeDee Lamb, this is going to be his 2nd game back from an ankle sprain that he suffered a few weeks ago. During his time off, that allowed Dak Prescott to further his chemistry with George Pickens. I mean, they've built a lot of chemistry over these past few weeks. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens can both play X and Z receiver. They're very interchangeable in terms of the positions that they play. They can both play in the slot as well. CeeDee's played a little bit more slot than George, but you can move these guys all over the place. CeeDee Lamb has 21 receptions for 332 yards and 1 touchdown, 133 wide snaps, and 62 snaps in the slot. Pickens has 36 receptions for 607 yards and a whopping 6 touchdowns, 369 wide snaps, and 38 slot snaps. Like I said, you can move these guys all over the place. X, Z, slot, they can do it all. You've got Jalen Tolbert. He's another guy that can move all over the place. 12 receptions for 125 yards and no touchdowns, 195 snaps in the wide, and 140 snaps in the slot. You've got Ryan Flanoy, and I know it says Flournoy, it's what it looks like, but it's pronounced Flanoy. 13 receptions for 179 yards for Ryan, no touchdowns, 90 wide snaps, 49 slot snaps. Some of these guys got more snaps with CeeDee Lamb out. Kevontae Turpin, he's a great return guy, but he's also got a role on offense in the slot. He got 105 snaps in the slot, some of those in light of the CeeDee Lamb injury. 12 receptions for 176 yards and 1 touchdown for him. Also 44 snaps out wide. And then Jonathan Mingo, they traded, I can't remember if it was a 4th or a 5th round pick. It was something like that for him last season at the trade deadline. He barely played last year, and he literally has not played a single snap this year. I have no clue why Mingo's still on the roster, and that's one of the worst trades in recent memory. That was literally a waste of a draft pick by the Dallas Cowboys, but I digress. The Cowboys are known historically for having one of the best offensive lines in football. They're really good at run blocking. They're still a high-end run blocking offensive line. But in terms of pass protection, they're not very good, actually. And I'm kind of surprised that Dak Prescott is playing at such a high level, because this offensive line has had some struggles, especially your tackle spots. Tyler Guyton, left tackle, 21 pressures allowed, just 1 sack. That's more credit to Dak Prescott than Tyler Guyton. 16 flushes from the pocket allowed. He's got a 44.1 pass block grade. Again, do with that what you will, which is 76th out of 82 eligible tackles. His run block grade is 53.0, which is 63rd out of 82 eligible tackles. Not great, Bob. Then, on the other side, you've got Terrence Steele, who they extended a few years ago, and he's kind of struggled ever since. 20 total pressures for Steele, 3 sacks, and 16 flushes allowed, 59th out of 82 eligible tackles graded, and he is a really good run blocker. That's one thing Steele does well. 14th best out of 82. You see that on his film. He does maul cats up front. He's a big reason why this run game is good for the Dallas Cowboys. At left guard, you've got Tyler Smith. He can play guard and tackle, but they've settled him in at left guard. He's been their best offensive lineman. Only 8 pressures, no sacks, and 8 flushes. 48th out of 81 graded pass blocking tackles, and 22nd out of 82 graded run blocking guards, not tackles, excuse me. But he's been really, really solid at left guard for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, probably their best offensive lineman this season. At center, you've got Brock Hoffman. Their normal center is Cooper Beebe. They thought he might be able to go this week, but right before recording this video, it was announced that Beebe is out and Hoffman is in. Hoffman's given up 10 pressures, 1 sack, and 6 flushes, so he's had some struggles up there. He's the 26th out of 35 pass blocking centers and the 26th out of 37 run blocking centers. So he hasn't been horrible, but the Cowboys would definitely like to get Cooper Beebe back sooner rather than later. DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach, this could be a favorable matchup for them up front. Then you've got Tyler Booker, who's also had some struggles at guard. He's a rookie, so that's to be expected. He's also missed some time due to injury this season. 10 pressures, 1 sack, and 6 hurries. He's the 63rd graded pass blocking guard out of 81 eligible players, and he is the 21st graded out of 82 eligible players in the run game, 67.7. So this offensive line, they've had some issues with pass protection, and with how good this Broncos pass rush is, I would expect them to take advantage of that. That's something we're definitely going to talk about in the keys to victory. Now let's move into the defensive side of the ball, where they've got a lot of problems. They're injured, they've got talent deficiencies, it's just been a mess on the defensive side of the ball. We'll go over their coverage rates, we'll go over some advanced stats, and then we'll go over their player personnel. They like to live in cover 3 most of the time. They call that 35% of the time. They call cover 2 26% of the time. They have bumped up their man coverage like we talked about earlier. They call cover 1 12% of the time. Quarters coverage 11% of the time. Quarter, half 7% of the time. They call cover 0 3% of the time. And they have called 0 snaps of cover 2 man on the season. So a zone coverage heavy defense, which you would expect if you've got questionable personnel in the secondary, again, mostly due to injuries. I would expect not trusting to call man coverage in those situations. This defense is not good. They are not good at all when you look at the advanced metrics. In EPA per play allowed, they are 29th. Success rate allowed, 31st. EPA per pass allowed, 28th. EPA per rush allowed, 29th. They've given up 1,939 passing yards, which is the most in the NFL. A 68.91% completion allowed, 27th. 16 passing touchdowns. 989 rushing yards allowed, 31st in the league. And 8 rushing touchdowns allowed. If this is not the week that the Broncos offense is able to sustain production for all 4 quarters, then it is never going to happen, folks. This defense is bad, okay? I mean, dude, if you can't have success against this, a defense that can't stop the pass or stop the run, then we're not going to have a good offense at all this year. This is the game where I expect our offense to play well. As far as sack leaders for the Dallas Cowboys, without Micah Parsons, they've had to scheme up a lot of pressure. James Houston, who's a backup edge rusher for them, he's actually listed here as a 3rd-string guy. He's their sack leader right now with 3.5 sacks. Kenny Clark, who they got back from the Green Bay Packers in the Micah Parsons trade, he's got 1.5 sacks. Donovan Ezaraku, their 2nd-round rookie edge rusher out of Boston College, he's got 1 sack. Marshawn Kneeland has a sack. Dante Fowler has a sack. Kenneth Murray has a sack. And there are a few other players that have sacks as well. So right now, your starting edge rushers are Ezaraku and Sam Williams. Marshawn Kneeland is actually out for this game. He's dealing with an injury. They signed Jadeveon Clowney. He's had some production for them, but he hasn't been amazing. Clowney's best seasons are behind him. And then you've got James Houston and Dante Fowler there as well. So they've rotated in pretty much all of these guys. You got Kenny Clark and Osa Odigizua on the interior defensive line, along with Mozzie Smith, 1st-round draft bust. Solomon Thomas, another 1st-round draft bust from back in the day by the San Francisco 49ers. And then Jay Toya, a 7th-round pick. He's been seeing some playing time as well. Their linebacking core, along with this interior defensive line, they've really struggled in run defense. Kenneth Murray, they're starting Shamar James there, 5th-round rookie this year. Marist Liufau, 3rd-round pick from last season. Jack Sanborn, who came over with Eberflus from Chicago. And then they've got Damone Clark, who's been there for the last few years. This group has really struggled on film to defend the run, and they've struggled in coverage as well. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. In the secondary, they're dealing with a crap ton of injuries right now. You've got Donovan Wilson, starting safety, and your other starting safety, Wanye Thomas, out for this game. You've also got Trayvon Diggs, who was just placed on injured reserve. So, yeah, lots of injuries right now in the secondary for the Dallas Cowboys. Trequeze Bridges figures to step in at boundary corner for the Dallas Cowboys in place of Diggs. He actually played pretty well last week on film. Kyer Elam, another 1st-round draft bust by the Buffalo Bills, is their other boundary corner. He's somebody that you can attack in coverage for sure. And then you've got Deron Bland at nickel. Bland is a guy who gets a lot of interceptions, had a pick 6 last week, but he jumps a lot of routes. He's very aggressive, and that's another player you can look to attack. With both of the starting safeties out, look towards Marquise Bell and Elijah Clark to fill those roles. So yeah, this defense is a mess in terms of personnel right now. In terms of pressures, Kenny Clark actually does lead the team in pressures with 23. Osa Odigizua has 20. Dante Fowler has 18. Sam Williams has 15. Donovan Ezeraku has 14. And James Houston has 10. So Matt Eberflus has done a good job of scheming up pressure, but they still can't really get home. And they still struggle in coverage. They still struggle in run defense. So, yeah, this defense has had a lot of problems. In terms of run stops, Donovan Ezeraku has 8. Solomon Thomas has 8. Sam Williams has 7. Marshawn Nealon has 6. Kenneth Murray has 6. And Osa Odigizua has 6. In terms of coverage, Deron Bland has a 70.5 PFF coverage grade. Marquise Bell has a 66.9. Bridges a 63.3. Clark has a 63.1. Elijah Clark. And then Kyer Elam has a 57.7. Do with those numbers what you will. Linebackers in coverage. And this matches up on film, especially the 2 games that I just went back and watched. Kenneth Murray, really bad, 52.0 coverage grade. Shamar James, 49.9 coverage grade. Jack Sanborn's actually the best of the bunch. He's got a 58.6. And Maris Liufau, a 27.0. So these linebackers, these are some guys that you can attack if you're the Broncos offense. Both in the run game and the pass game, they have a lot of struggles. So let's go ahead and go over special teams real quick here. We've gone this whole game preview, and we haven't talked about Brandon Aubrey yet. Brandon Aubrey is one of the best kickers, if not the best kicker in the NFL, especially from long distance. And with the new rule that kickers can practice with footballs all week and then bring those balls into the game, that's why we've seen an uptick in kickers making these long kicks. And whenever you've got a long-range kicker coming into the Mile High City, that's something to keep an eye on. There is a chance that Brandon Aubrey could break the NFL field goal record at Mile High, especially if it's into the half. And let's say if it's a 70-yard field goal attempt, it would not surprise me at all if Brian Schottenheimer gave Brandon Aubrey the opportunity to make that. He's very capable of doing it, so watch out for that. Brian Anger, veteran punter, he's been in the NFL for a long time. And then we already talked about Kevontae Turpin, one of the best return guys in the NFL. So this game is going to feature a matchup of 2 really good return men in Marvin Mims and Kevontae Turpin. All right, guys, let's go over some keys to victory for this game as I try to get myself organized here. As always, stay healthy. You cannot have any big injuries in this game if you want to win, and no stupid penalties. Knock on wood to both of those. Denver's had way too many penalties that have shot themselves in the foot. You cannot have it. You cannot have it. You cannot have it, especially that crap at the end of the game. I understand that Brad Allen got butthurt, but if you're Dre Greenlaw, you can't put yourself in that situation. You got to keep your cool. I understand you're sticking up for Justin Sternad there, but you put your team in a bad position because you lost your cool. I get it. Your intentions were noble, but it put the team in a bad position. We cannot have any of that stuff. Another one that I've got written down in all capital letters. Run the damn ball. This run defense is not good for the Cowboys, both from a defensive line perspective and a linebacker perspective. If J.K. Dobbins doesn't have at least 16 rushing attempts in this game, then the game plan for the Denver Broncos was messed up from the jump. Establish the play action shots when they're there. When you run the ball, you can open up the play action game, deep crossing routes, go balls, even seam balls, stuff like that. All of that's going to be available if you open up the play action game by running the damn football. Sean Payton is going to call screens. He does it every game. I understand some fans don't like it, but the reality is a lot of those screens that failed in the Giants game were because of poor blocking efforts by receivers and tight ends. We've got to block on those plays. You can't just abandon play calls because your players aren't blocking. You've got to trust that the guys who are getting paid millions of dollars can hold up in the blocking game. If not, maybe they shouldn't see the field. No block, no rock. So if you're going to call these screens, we've got to block for them. It's that simple. We already talked about the Broncos possibly hitting a seam ripper. They're going to be getting a lot of cover 3 in this one. It's what the Cowboys like to do. So a seam ripper to Evan Ingram. It is going to be National Tight Ends Day tomorrow, so maybe Sean Payton wants to feed his tight ends a little bit. Evan Ingram, Adam Troutman, maybe even Nate Adkins gets involved. Stay disciplined in coverage. I feel like Denver's going to drop back and play a tick more zone in this one, so stay disciplined in your zone assignments. Don't blow any of those assignments, anything like that. Try not to put Riley Moss on George Pickens. I know it's tempting to put PS2 on CeeDee Lamb, but in terms of the way that they play the game, I actually would rather put Riley Moss on CeeDee Lamb and then keep a safety over the top and bracket him and then have PS2 one-on-one on Pickens. Especially when Pickens is at X, having him one-on-one against Riley, who is in good position a lot of the time, but surrenders a lot of these 50-50 balls. That scares me against a 50-50 ball merchant like George Pickens. So that's the game plan that I want to see in order to take away both George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Stack the box on rundowns in order to stop Javonte Williams. Bring down Talanoa Hufanga. I think he's going to play a key role in stopping Javonte Williams in this one. And maybe we see some packages where PJ Locke and Talanoa Hufanga are on the field together. Hufanga down in the box to defend the run, and then PJ Locke playing that deep field safety. So that's something to think about in this one. Don't let any runs get to the second level. That's going to be key for our defensive line, because I don't want any of our linebackers to be exposed there. If Javonte Williams turns a corner on Alex Singleton or Justin Strnad, we're cooked. So do not let any of these runs get to the second level. If they do, hope that Talanoa Hufanga is there to clean it up and not Alex Singleton or Justin Strnad. Speaking of Alex Singleton, we say it every week, unfortunately. He's been literally the worst coverage linebacker in the NFL this year, so limit him in coverage as much as possible. Limit his opportunities to get exposed. Get Dak on the ground. You want to get pressure and, more importantly, convert that pressure into sacks. The Broncos did a good job the last time they went up against a truly elite offense in the Indianapolis Colts at getting pressure, but they couldn't get Daniel Jones on the ground. Jones did a good job of dancing in the pocket and mitigating that pressure with quick throws. I expect the same thing from Dak Prescott, but you've got to find a way to get Dak on the ground. That's the best chance you're going to have to win this football game. Long, methodical drives on offense, that all ties into running the damn ball. If you don't run the ball, you're not going to go on sustained drives. And the best way to defend Dak Prescott is not only get pressure on him, but also keep him on the sideline and keep this Dallas Cowboys offense cold on the bench. Take advantage of any coverage busts by the Dallas Cowboys defense. There are going to be some, especially with a lot of backup secondary players in there. So I expect to see some chunk plays out of the passing game for this Broncos offense. At the end of the day, Denver's offense is going to have to sustain this game for all 4 quarters. I expect the defense to make plays, but I also expect Dak Prescott and this offense to make plays. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. I expect Javonte to have some big runs. Denver's going to have to keep up in a shootout in this one. Against a really bad defense in the Dallas Cowboys, I believe they're going to be able to do it. I think we're going to be able to sack Dak Prescott. I think that we're going to be able to stop Javonte Williams. The Broncos offense will be able to sustain enough drives. I believe it's going to be another 100-yard rushing game for J.K. Dobbins. I do have the Denver Broncos winning this game 34-31, and it's going to come off of a stop on the final drive by this Broncos defense. They're going to make just enough plays to get this one done, and like I said earlier, if the Broncos offense doesn't get their shit together this week, then it simply isn't going to happen. All right, Broncos country, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that the Denver Broncos are going to win this game? Do you think this is finally going to be the week that the offense gets their stuff together? Or do you believe that the Broncos offense is going to be stagnant once again and it's going to open up the opportunity for Dallas to win this game? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you guys want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. I would really appreciate it. It's not mandatory whatsoever, but if you guys want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping this channel grow, I would really appreciate it. The link is in the description below. Alright guys, and until next time, I'm your host Gage Madrid, saying peace out.